Hey, what's up? I'm Big Nick Vasquez,
And I'm Nick Jr.
also known as El Kiki, and you're watching the Finish Ultimate Combat Sports Podcast, Episode 5. So, it's been 2 weeks. We haven't done a podcast in 2 weeks. We recorded a podcast the weekend of CJI, and, we had some technical issues, and the entire podcast ended up not getting recorded. We were only recorded like 20 minutes or so of it. I think it was like 24 minutes. But it was actually, I was really disappointed. I was upset because it was a pretty good podcast. Obviously, CJI was like lit. We'll talk about that a little bit because people are still talking about it. Like people are still talking. I'm still seeing a lot about it on like my feed on IG. Obviously, like Nicky Rod challenged Gordon Ryan $1 million bet match. Nicky Rod won CJI over 80 kilos. Kade, right?
Yeah.
Kade won under 80 kilos. First ever $1 million prize. CJI was obviously awesome. Andrew Tackett and Kade Ruotolo had the most exciting match. You had who's the Australian guy that subbed Victor Hugo? Lucas Kennard subbed Victor Hugo, won like best submission. You know what I'm saying? It was really good. It was amazing. It was obviously a success. They're already saying that they will do a number 2. They kind of announced at the end that they will do a number 2 at the end of the first one. I don't see how they wouldn't be able to do another one.
Yeah.
I mean, as successful as it was in just a few months, I don't see how they would have problems. I've seen some comments on Instagram talking about how, so now we're going to need like some millionaire supporter to like just donate, and because it's a nonprofit event, so it's a nonprofit event, and so obviously there was like a secret contributor, like an anonymous contributor gave $3 million. Craig Jones $3 million. They say they made all of their money back. Obviously they made a lot of money on the tickets sold out.
They did?
They said it sold out. They said the stadium sold out via Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas. Crazy views on over 100,000 concurrent views at one point, 100, 150,000, something like that, right? 105, I think it was. It was over 100,000 at one point. People watching CJI.
It was like over 100,000 the whole time.
I mean, pretty much. Millions of views and interact. Obviously, they streamed it on IG also. They streamed it on YouTube on the B Team channel. They streamed it on Instagram, Facebook, X, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. Millions of impressions on Instagram, like as far as people interacting and all of that. Obviously, most of the views came from YouTube, but I feel like they got views from every platform. Huge success. And like I said, it's been like, it was 2 weeks ago? It's going on 3 weeks now. And people are still talking about it. Nicky Rod has been going out doing podcasts since the doing guest appearances on other podcasts since the event. He was on the Jackson podcast with Rampage Jackson and Jared Judio, whatever that guy's name is. I don't know. He's a funny little dude. He was on the Jackson podcast. He was on like an MMA casual. I think there's this podcast called MMA Casuals. He was on that with him. Nicky Rod was. He was on the Fighter and the Kid with Brendan Schaub and what's his name? Michael Cullen. I can't think of his name. I don't think it's Michael. I know his last name is Cullen. He's a comedian. So he's been going. Let me see. So he's going around making appearances since winning. Obviously, one of the first ever him and Kade first ever grapplers to win $1 million from a single tournament.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's huge. First ever tournament to pay out $1 million. Obviously, after taxes, they're gonna end up with like 650,000. He'll probably pay like 350 in taxes. You know what I'm saying? But he's been talking about. Obviously, he also does a podcast with his teammates, friends, and teammates at B Team, the Simple Man. I watched Simple Man podcast, and on every podcast, he's kind of talked about like, well, you know, my accountants are advising me on some smart purchases I can make and some moves that I can make to give me like write off so that I don't have to necessarily pay $350,000 in taxes and you know what I'm saying? But it was amazing. Like the tournament, the under 80, the over 80. Now that some time has passed, like looking at the over 80 bracket seemed a little underwhelming. They did an amazing job just promoting it. It was obviously very exciting leading up to it. Even leading up to it, I think everybody was most excited about the under 80 bracket.
Yeah.
Because obviously it was ridiculous. And I think just big guys, period. There's just less guys who are considered like crazy elite. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Smaller guys are quicker, more athletic, more bouncy, faster pace. So obviously those matches are more exciting, or can be. You know what I'm saying? Can be more exciting. Not that big guys aren't exciting to watch, but the little guys are obviously more technical, less. You know, they're less size. Big guys that even. I mean, I'm not tall. I'm not like a big, tall, athletic guy, but I'm a big guy. I weigh about I'm about 240 right now. I've always been over 200 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So since I started grappling, um, and as a big guy, like I've always been a pretty strong guy too. I will say that like you do get used to using your size and your strength. So yeah, things are sometimes a little less technical in the bigger divisions. Um, so I think a lot of guys just get used to being big and strong, and it's hard to not. It's hard to not because also it is a part of your game. Like your size and your strength does play into your game. You know what I'm saying? If you're smaller, just like small guys, their speed plays into their game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but when like I was saying, um, like if you're a big, strong guy, that plays into your game. It's gonna affect like how you learn. It's gonna affect the style of game you play. If you're a bigger, stronger, maybe less flexible, like you're obviously gonna lean more towards like playing a top game, a pressure game, um, you know, things like that. Obviously, they're big, tall, lean, athletic guys. They're really good, and you know what I'm saying. But yeah, and when you're smaller, you're gonna be quicker. Smaller guys are usually more flexible. Not always, but usually. Um, so you know, it definitely plays into your game, like your size, your strength, um, your body type plays into what kind of game you play in jiu-jitsu. And you know, so yeah, smaller guys can be more exciting to watch. It's just faster, quicker. You know, they're just you can see there's like a dude, what's his name? I was gonna say Gio Martinez, but that's not who I'm thinking of. I actually forgot his name. He's a little dude, short guy, and he's known for just being quick and springy, really hard to submit, like short limbs. I guess he's a little person. I never really thought of him like that, like a little person. When I watched him, I never really thought of it, but it makes sense. But he's got really short limbs. He's hard to submit, and he's like very like just bouncing around. You know what I'm saying? Cartwheel passes, like backflip passes, all that. That stuff is exciting to watch. That's just cool to watch. You know what I'm saying? And the over 80 guys, you know, it's just different. They're just usually just big, powerful guys, and obviously that plays into their game. But even now, as I look back on it, it does seem a little underwhelming. There was less what you would consider at the time elite level people. Looking back on it now, you can say, well, Lucas Kennard tapped out Victor Hugo. So obviously he's the real deal. And like, you know,
and then Ignacio Santos beat him. You could say,
right. Yeah. And then it's like, well, Adam Bradley beat, you know, who was it, Muhammad? No, Owen Livesey beat Muhammad Ali. And then Adam Bradley beat Owen Livesey, I think. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of those guys before the fact, they wouldn't have been considered elite. The over 80 division would have been, I don't know about more exciting, but people would have been more, it would have been more elite if it did include guys. And I don't even know if there was any chance of these guys even joining it. If it included guys like Felipe Pena, Yuri Samos, obviously Gordon Ryan, but Gordon Ryan will probably never do a Craig Jones Invitational. Craig kind of talked about that. I think someone asked him, "Did you invite Gordon Ryan?" I think it was before one of the podcasts he did before the show, before the tournament. They asked him, "Did you invite Gordon Ryan, or would you invite Gordon Ryan? Would you allow him?" And he kind of mentioned, he's like, I don't think he'd ever want to do one of them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, he's probably right. And it's not like he's a millionaire on his own. He's made millions of dollars just from sponsorships and instructionals and all kinds of stuff. So but yeah, I mean, so looking back on it, like, yeah, could they have had like higher level people? Yeah. I mean, obviously I think before the fact everybody was probably expecting Nicky Ryan and Victor Hugo to be in the finals or at least the semis or something, you know what I'm saying? Um and then but I mean, because if you just look at the people that, obviously it's a tournament, but if you really just look at the people that Nicky Rod beat, it's almost like, well, he didn't beat anybody too elite. Some people might say, looking back, you could make that argument. Well, he didn't really beat anybody considered to be the best in the world. Uh, Max Jimenez in the beginning. Max Jimenez first round. What was it? Adam Bradley second round.
No.
Who was in the second round?
Owen Livesey.
Was it?
Yeah.
Max Jimenez first round. Owen Lizzie second round. Adam Bradley third round. Um, so it was what, quarters, preliminaries, quarters, semifinals, final, and then Philippe Andrew in the finals. And then Philippe Andrew was like, obviously he made it to the finals. It was a tournament, so the best guys won. You would say like, well, the best guys won, the best guys on that night. But overall, looking at it, if you looked at, there could be an argument made like, none of those guys are really considered elite. None of those guys would be in anywhere near finals of ADCC, or you know what I'm saying, or how many of those guys have even podiumed at ADCC? Which I don't know if Muhammad Ali's podiumed at ADCC, but I'm saying the guys who you would have thought were the best. I think the guys who people would have considered the best in that tournament were out early on. Um, Victor Hugo out in the first round.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali out in the first round. Um, Other than that, I don't know anyone who anybody might have considered elite before the fact. Some of these guys that got big wins, like Ignacio Santos, obviously this put some of them on the map.
Yeah.
Especially guys like Lucas Kennard. Like, people know him now. People within jiu-jitsu, people on the scene, like, he's got eyes on him now. Like, whoa, he just tapped out Victor Hugo. You know what I'm saying? So that's something. And then, Adam Bradley, I'll be honest, I don't think anybody considered Adam Bradley elite before the fact. And even looking back now, I don't think anyone considers him elite now. I don't think anyone considers him elite now. It's just not to say that he's not, and that doesn't mean he's not good or that he's not high level, but being elite is something else. Being elite at the highest level of competition is something else. You know what I'm saying? It's a different thing. And the only people that I could think of in that tournament for the over 80 that would actually be considered like elite if you were to go around and just talk to people, the names that probably would come up against Nicky Rod, like Nicky Rod and Victor Hugo for sure, and then somebody like Muhammad Ali. You know what I'm saying? And not to take anything away from nobody, like, you know what I'm saying? Victor Hoch's high level, we know he's good. I mean, Gabriel Hoch's high level, we know he's good. You know, like I said, Lucas Kennard tapped out Victor Hugo. Nobody just does that. Whether it was by chance, whether Victor Hugo, you know, he's made a name for himself now. He tapped out someone who's considered to be one of the best in the world at the highest level. So that's something, you know. It's but yeah, it's. I don't want to spend too much time. Like I said, it has been, you know, 2 weeks now. It's going on. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks now. So but I mean, people are still talking about it.
Yeah,
there's still news about it. I was on YouTube and I seen like a thumbnail that was talking about, will there be a CJI 2? I think there will be. Obviously, I think they're planning for there to be one. I don't think they would have any problems coming up with the funding. I don't see any major advertisers that wouldn't want to get behind it. You know what I'm saying? From a financial standpoint, they were a huge success. I don't see how I don't think they're gonna have any trouble. They brought a lot of attention to jiu-jitsu. Like, they brought a lot of attention to jiu-jitsu. And I'm gonna be honest, like, a lot more attention than ADCC have brought in years past. And at the same time, like, they couldn't have done what they did without ADCC. If ADCC was not there as the legacy organization, you know what I'm saying? Then CJI wouldn't have happened. And they couldn't have done what they did. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta take that into consideration. But I mean, there's still a lot going on within jiu-jitsu right now. Obviously, CJI and ADCC happened that weekend. Big things happened. You got J-Rod took second in that what was that, 77 division?
I thought it was 88. Yeah, I thought it was 88.
I'm actually not even sure. I think it was 77. Under 77, right? J-Rod takes second. Meregalis
ADCC got tapped out by Michael Pixley.
Michael Pixley throws him, you know what I'm saying, with that hits him with that judo throw, that wrestling judo throw. You know what I'm saying? Meregali posts, dislocates and hurts his shoulder. Had to have shoulder injury. That was crazy. He kind of. Some people talked about the fact it's kind of silly that Meregali kind of like try to play it down, like, oh, I would have rather just gotten tapped instead of get injured. But also, like, you got injured because, like, he beat you. You didn't lose because you got injured. He beat you and you got injured.
Yeah.
Because he threw you, like, hard. You made a mistake. You posted. He forced you to make a mistake that led to an injury and you lost. But he tried to play it down like, well, I got injured, so, you know, I would have. And literally what he said was, he made a video. I watched the video on YouTube and he was like, I would have rather lost instead of get injured. And it's like, you did lose. You lost. Like, he beat you. You didn't just get injured. It wasn't like a fluke injury. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
People get hurt when getting taken down and being thrown. Like, everybody knows that the most dangerous part of jiu-jitsu is the stand-up. Is the takedowns and the throws. Like, that's where you're most likely to get hurt. Which is why, like, when you go to a gym, like, casual grapplers will start, like, you go to some gyms and they'll start on the ground. That's one of the reasons why.
Really? I thought it was just...
No, that's one of the reasons why. Because the most dangerous part of jiu-jitsu, the most dangerous part of grappling is the stand-up, is when you're shooting for takedowns, when you're getting thrown. I mean, I'm dealing with the shoulders. I'm dealing with the minor shoulder injury right now, a grade 2 shoulder separation of the CC joint. It's feeling a lot better already. This happened not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before. It'll be 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. Today we're recording this on Monday. So tomorrow it'll be 2 weeks since and like guess what? Yeah, it was takedowns. I got hurt doing takedowns. Like someone was I was rolling with a partner and we're going for takedowns. We were doing rounds. My coach was like, takedown rounds. If you get taken down, get back up, do it again. We're just doing takedowns. So catches me in a cradle, has my leg and my head like here, like this, head here, legs here, locks his hands, and what happened was I was still defending really hard.
Yeah.
And so I'm defending really hard. He pushes really hard to finish the takedown. He kind of dumps me. I fall over on my shoulder. It, what I'm saying, hurts it. I fall over on my shoulder, hurts it. I think it did dislocate. That's what we were talking. I seen him today. His name's Jeff. Jeff, what's up, Jeff? I seen him today, and we were talking. And,
he was there today.
Yeah, I seen him today. We were talking. I didn't train today. Nick went to train. Little Nick went to train. Kiki. But I seen him, and he was like, "Man," he's like, "I can't believe." He's like, because we were trying to pop it back in.
Yeah,
we were trying to pop it back in. But I actually think it was dislocated, and I think we did pop it back in. But I think it was dislocated, and there was the separation of that joint. I think there was this what separation of the CC joint is what they said. It's like from the collarbone joint that connects to the there's two collarbones. They create a joint with the shoulder. It's kind of like one's on this is the collar, one's on top, one's on bottom. It goes to the shoulder. The top one is the AC joint. What separated on mine was the bottom one. So the bottom one separated. They said it was like a 1.8 millimeter separation, is what they said at the. I went to the emergency room. I thought it was still just dislocated. I think it was dislocated, and we may have popped it back in because it looked like it was dislocated. Like the shoulder was out of place, it was down, and he was helping me like moving it around. We weren't like jerking it. He's a fireman. He's a fireman and a paramedic. He's a first responder. So like he deals with those kind of things. He knows what he's doing, and he was just helping me like move it around, like very slowly, just trying to move it into places where it might pop back in. And what happened is, I think it was dislocated at one point. I think it did pop back in. We kind of thought it didn't because it was still hurting me like very badly. I was still in quite a bit of pain. And I still couldn't really move it freely. And that was because of the CC joint separation. So, obviously Meregalis' injury, a lot more serious, complete dislocation of the shoulder. I think they said he tore his bicep or detached a bicep. Yeah, it was bad.
What?
I mean, you got to think he's getting thrown hard. He posts his hand and then like basically kind of just snaps at the shoulder. If you go back and watch it, he is tapping as soon as he got thrown.
Like before
he tapped way before Pixley threw that choking. Yes. He tapped way before Michael Pixley threw that choking. Which, I mean, he lost. And he lost because Michael Pixley beat him. Because Michael Pixley threw him, forced a mistake, forced him to injure himself. Michael Pixley beat him. There's no way around that. There's no way around that. For him to be like, well, I got injured. It sucked because I would have. Because the thing is, he said, I would have rather injured. If he would have said, I would have rather just lost just by being tapped out regularly, instead of saying, well, I would have rather lost instead of being injured. As if to say, like, well, I just got injured and I had to stop. And it wasn't because I was playing it down like Michael Pixley didn't really beat me. I got injured in the match. But he did beat you. Because, And that was like the second or third time that he threw him with the same throw.
Really?
Yeah, like he had nothing on Pixley in the stand-up. You didn't watch it?
No.
They posted it. They put it on.
Yeah, I was planning on. I watched. I saw some of the matches they posted. I didn't see that one.
So we didn't watch it live because we didn't get Flow. We were thinking about getting Flow, and we ended up not getting it. We didn't watch it live, but we've been catching the matches that they pushed on the YouTube channel on Flow Grappling. I think the most recent one they posted was Dorian Olivares and Gerbeg Ibrahimov. Ibrahimov, that's how I say it. They were saying Ibrahimov on the. I say Ibrahimov. I don't know which one is correct, but whatever. But yeah, so they posted a few. They posted a few different matches on the Flow Grappling YouTube channel. That's usually what I do, anyways. But yeah, it usually passes. Find out who wins, and I usually just catch whatever matches they put on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So yeah, this year wasn't any different. Obviously, we were kind of more excited with all the buildup with CJI, and then and ADCC did seem very lackluster compared to CJI. I think that was mostly because of the marketing, and that under 80 division was the most stacked division probably we'd ever seen. Yeah, but I mean, Michael Pixley was kind of handling him even before that happened. Yeah, yeah. Like he had nothing for Pixley on the feet. Like with the wrestling,
Like at all?
it didn't seem like it. I have to watch it again, but from what I watched, I think I watched it like twice. I watched it a couple times, and Pixley, that was like the third time Pixley caught him with that throw. And he had already thrown him, and it seemed like Meregali had already decided. After he got thrown the first time, like Meregali came up on like a single leg, or maybe that was it when he got thrown. I don't, because Meregali was like playing guard for a while. He got thrown, and he was down. He was playing guard, and I was like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. And Pixley was like kind of playing this, like didn't really want to engage him in the guard. Pixley's a wrestler, so that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like we've talked about this as a competitor, you want to impose your game, whatever your game is. If your game is the guard and you're allowed to sit, and they have to engage you, well, then you want to put yourself in the best position to win. Well, then you're gonna sit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just like the CJI thing with
Levi.
Kade and Levi. He's a guard player. You know what I'm saying? He's a guard player. People are like, oh, that's not exciting. You know what?
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. And honestly, it's a little bit bullshit because if Levi had gone out there and sat to his guard and fucked everybody or snatched up everybody's legs and broken everybody would have been like, oh shit.
What?
Nobody would have been complaining.
No one.
No one would have been complaining. So that takes all the.
It really would have been different if Levi had people.
Holy shit!
If Levi had people coming to pick somebody, it would have been different if Levi had medical. What is it?
Right, if people couldn't walk out on their own.
Yeah, they couldn't walk out on their own. They had to get medical helpers or medical support to help them.
Because he was breaking people's legs.
Yeah,
and shit.
To get them on a what is it? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if it would have been that.
But
period. If Levi had gone out there, sat to his guard, and just tapped everybody with leg locks, everybody would have been like, "Holy shit, this kid is for real." That was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Nobody would have been complaining that his guard game was boring. Nobody would have been complaining that his guard game was not exciting. They would be like, "Wow, he went out there."
Him and Roberto was
right. Exactly.
Was exciting.
Yes, it was. It was a.
He tapped him out in like 30 seconds.
It was a good.
Or no, was it? It was like a minute.
It wasn't that quick. Was it in the first round?
Yeah.
I really don't remember.
It was less than a minute. I know that.
I was not expecting that. I think a lot of people were not expecting. That was in the first round. That was like preliminary round. Yeah, I was not expecting. I don't think anybody was expecting. I think people were expecting Roberto to make a deep run.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think people felt like, oh, the leg locks have been a problem for Roberto before, but it seems like he's addressed it. I think Levi is just expert level.
with the leg
with the
locks.
leg locks. His guard play and his leg locks are just expert level. You know what I'm saying? The problem is Kade was ready for him. Kade was ready for him. Here's the thing. It becomes boring when the same thing is happening over and over again. The repetitiveness. We talked about this on the podcast that didn't get recorded. The repetitiveness becomes boring. Levi has what appears to be an impassable guard. Kade is going over and over again trying to pass it.
Yeah.
And he couldn't pass it. He
got close, like once, maybe twice.
He did get close. It was a good match. I think they both had good submission attempts. They had multiple submission attempts, a couple of deep submission attempts. Each of them both did. Kade was throwing that arm wrench, like from the standing position or whatever it was. I don't even remember how he caught it, but he kept catching his arm and like trying to wrench it. He threw that like twice, and it looked pretty close to me. I think just the positioning of it and how quick it is, kind of just like people didn't really. But you know what I'm saying? Kade threw it, and it was pretty close. He had his arm like it's where like basically like this, and if you have my elbow, you're wrenching it up. You're turning it in like that. He threw that a couple times, and it didn't look like he forced Levi to have to defend that. You know what I'm saying? When you have to defend something hard, that's pretty close to me. You know what I'm saying? And then he threw the triangle. Obviously, Levi locked him up and, you know what I'm saying, tied him up a bit, but he was able to scramble out, like turn and scramble out. They're pretty good. Like what we were talking about, going with the pressure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, I do think it's bullshit that people complain. It's like I said, the repetitiveness of Levi, huh?
No, what I was thinking about earlier, if Levi had, I was trying to say, if Levi had
right
medical support people coming out to put everybody on stretchers. I couldn't remember what the word was.
Yeah. I mean, look, if Levi had gone out there and submitted everybody, nobody would be complaining. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he had gone out there and broke everybody's fucking leg and people couldn't even walk off and had to be carried out by medics, everybody would have been like, what the fuck just happened? You know what I'm saying? Everybody would have been like, oh my God, he just fucking murdered everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody
and then if they no, it's just if they like imagine they had like a camera guy, like and then they're leaving. Everybody who got hurt is leaving, and then they have a camera guy following them to like just to like
to the ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a trip. I mean, I don't know if they would do all that, but you know, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, if Levi had just gone out there and tapped everybody, nobody would be calling him boring.
Yeah.
The problem is at the highest level, you're not going to tap everybody. Also, at the highest level, it's not always exciting. We talked about that. The entire show is great. Fionn Davis won that match. The one thing I said last time in the other podcast was that she needs a fucking belt. They gave her that tiny little fucking medal. They gave her that bullshit ass medal. It looked like a fucking kids Olympic It looked like a kids gymnastics medal. It was like a medal on a little red, white, and blue, tag that goes around the neck. I was like, what the? Even she looked at it like she wins the match. I think it was Seth. Seth is Craig's business partner. He comes out, he gives her the medal. She's like, oh. Come on, bro. Look, Craig, get her the fucking the super fight champs need belts, bro. You need to make a nice belt. All right. You had $3 million. You could have spent a couple $100 on a nice belt. You know what I'm saying? Something. I'm just saying. Next CJI super fight champs need belts. No shitty little no shitty. It was literally like a shitty little medal. That was the only thing out of the whole show that I was like, what the fuck is that? You know what I'm saying? She wins the fight. They come out and they give her. They don't even like make a big deal of it. Like he's just like, here, like because probably I don't know. seemed like maybe they were embarrassed. I don't know what, but even she was like, "Oh," she kind of like laughed it off. I was like, "What the fuck is that, man? They should have made her a belt. She's the first ever CJI super fight champ, and like they should just make her one now. They should be like, you know what? We gave you that shitty little medal, but you know you're the first ever champ. We want you to have a belt. Here's a belt. Come back, and hopefully she comes back to defend it next year. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, that's what I would hope for. Hopefully, she comes back to defend it next year, and that'd be great. You know what I'm saying? Come back if maybe I don't know if Nikki, now that he's the inaugural that he won, maybe they could just set him up to come back for a super fight next year, kind of like um he already won the $1 million once. That'd probably be cool if they set it up where like, hey, you can't win every year or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But as returning champion, maybe they could set it up where as returning champion, you get to fight the next champion, or we set you up with a super fight. You know what I'm saying with someone else. And if the super fight's paid like $100,000, that'd be worth it.
Yeah.
That'd be worth it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who maybe doesn't want to do the tournament. I don't know. Maybe they set up an absolute or something like that. They're gonna have to do something for whoever won. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Cage just maybe that's it. Maybe they do the tournament and the winner of the tournament just faces the former champ.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe that would be it. Maybe the former champ just goes straight to the finals. You know what I'm saying? Or just bypasses the preliminaries. Something.
Like the first
right.
The first round?
Yeah, they're gonna have to give him a bye or something. That's what I think. That's what I think. That's the move. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if they set up or like I said, if they set up some kind of super fight, it'd be great if Fionn comes back and defends her super fight title. You know what I'm saying? She's the first ever. So if she could come back every year and defend that and win it again, you know what I'm saying?
But Craig is the first.
Oh, with Gabby?
What did he say? What he said, the first intergender super fight champ?
Intergender super fight champ. Yeah. The first intergender. Which, I'm going to say this. I could see some serious fights with somebody like Fionn and some other guys her size or smaller. I could see some serious fights going on there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, that was interesting. I didn't know how it was going to go. Once the match started, it was obvious, oh, this is just for marketing. And it worked. But, yeah. So, I mean, but the big news right now is the Nicky Rod, Gordon Ryan stuff.
Yeah.
Let me see. Nicky Rod calls out Gordon Ryan at the end of the tournament, at the end of CJI, which happened 2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? Calls out Gordon Ryan.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah.
Bro, I was like,
says, hey, let's put my million against your million, because he bet him before. He told him, hey, let's fight $50,000 winner take all. And Gordon's response to that was, I'm a fucking millionaire. $50,000 is not enough. So now Nicky's got more money. Nicky just won this tournament, and he's like,
I got the money now.
I got $1 million now. You said 50 wasn't enough. How about $1 million? You know, so he's like, let's put your million. Let's go on. Let's put your million against my million, and see what happens. Winner take all. So Gordon actually took a while to respond, because this post right here is from 5 days ago. So Gordon took over a week to respond to this. It was like crickets, like nothing. And he posted it, and he's got videos of him, the video of him tapping out Nikki from ADCC, where he heel hooked him in like the first couple minutes. And then he's got videos, he posted it with videos of him tapping out Craig Jones.
Oh, it's multiple?
Yeah. So what was it? Let me see. He said something about his record against him.
It was, I think it was 3-0 or 4-0.
Well, they've never beat him.
Yeah.
So I will say Here's what he said. He posted it. He posted videos of clips of him tapping both of them out. The one of Nicky Rod from the prior ADCC, not this one, but the one before, and then like 3 other videos of him tapping out Craig Jones. This is what he posted on his Instagram. He said, "I will say this once and only once to Nicky Fraud and can't win comp Craig." And Nicky Rod, he called him Nicky Fraud and can't win comp Craig. That's obviously like, Craig's whole thing is he can't win a tournament. He always comes in second. Um, since you both have my eggplant in your mouth 24/7, since you both have my dick in your mouth 24/7, I have a few proposals for you. We either do 2 matches on one night, both of you either put up 500K for a million each, and I'll put up 1 to 2 million. So basically, he's telling them you can each put up a million between the two of you, 500,000 each, and I'll match and I'll put up my own million against both of y'all, or y'all can each put up a million of your own, and I'll put up the 2 million. So he's leaving it up to them. Do you each want to bet a million, and I'll bet y'all each a million each, or do you want to bet a million total between the two of you? Either way, I'll cover it. Is what he's saying. So he's basically saying, I'll put up 1 to 2 million. We both compete in the same night, and winner takes all. If one of you is too scaredy cat to accept, he put the cat emoji. You know what he's saying. If one of you is too scared to accept, I'll face one of you for 1 million versus 1 million. So basically saying, if pretty much talking to Craig, like saying like if Craig doesn't want to do it, I'll fight Nicky Rod for it. I'll do a $1 million bet match with Nicky Rod. But basically saying if only Nicky Rod wants to do it, I'll fight Nicky Rod for the 1 million. He says, which I think is comical. He says, if only one of you wants to do it, I'll fight you for the 1 million, which I think is comical, seeing as the fact that Nicky Fraud. But yeah, basically saying like if only one of you wants to do it, then I'll fight Nicky Rod. Basically tell Nicky Rod if only Nicky Rod wants to do it, I'll fight Nicky Rod for the 1 million. We can bet the 1 million. He says, which I think is comical, seeing as the fact that Nicky Fraud is going to have to pay roughly $350K in taxes. I know P Brain has never made 7 figures in his life, but after taxes, you have around 650 left, maybe 700,000 if you're lucky. After putting at least 20% down on your $1 million house, I would absolutely be willing to bet you don't have 300 to 350K cash on hand laying around to put into escrow, which means you'll have to secure a sponsor to front you that money. And seeing as I've beaten you both a total of 5 times, including 4 submissions, so beating Nicky Rod twice and beating Craig 3 times. Obviously, one of the ones with Nicky Rod was at UFC Fight Pass, the UFC Fight Pass Invitational, where he beat him in overtime because they do the EBI rules where it's ride time. So they start like on the back or in a position, and then whoever escapes the fastest basically wins. 4 submissions. I've beaten you both a total of 5 times, including 4 submissions. Good luck on that. Matches will not be left up to judges, will have minimal ref interference, and thus will be no time limit, submission only. Athletes will also be required to wear long sleeve rash guards and spats with a no roll up rule, since 4 people have already accused you of grease. Mason, Penna, me, Yuri. So apparently all of these people have accused Nicky Rod of greasing, which honestly, Nicky Rod does be out there glistening. I ain't even gonna lie. He'd be out there sweating and glistening. I think he does just sweat a lot, and people just get slippery when they sweat a lot. But honestly, like, it wouldn't be hard to believe that he's like lotioning up heavily before, or just doing, or like petroleum jelly baths, which people do, like Vaseline baths. Like they put Vaseline on and then they shower and then so that it soaks in, and then when they sweat, they're sweating out Vaseline. So basically, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying he's done that, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he's done that. It's not. It wouldn't be the most unbelievable thing. It's really not like a ridiculous accusation. You know what I'm saying? Especially if four guys. I do think he sweats a lot. I do think he sweats a lot. He's kind of talked about that. He was on a podcast and they were like, "Oh, you had to cool yourself down," because he was talking about having kids. He just had a kid. He had a boy, and he kind of talks about how he only wants to have boys, and so he's talked about like studying up. Apparently, there's books and stuff that'll tell you how to maximize your chances of having a boy when you want to get a woman pregnant. Um, and like he studied up on some books and talked to some people that gave him some advice and tips. Other men that only have boys, I think. Like
I think he said it was up to like 80-20.
Something like that. But anyways, he's talking about how, and so somebody was like, "Oh, what do? You got to get your temperature down." He's like, "Nah, I always run hot." It was when he was on The Fighter and the Kid, I think, with Brendan Schaub and Brian Cullen. That's his name. Brian McCallan, Brian Callen. That's it. I said Cullen earlier. It's Callen. But anyways, he was on The Fighter, and they were like, "You got to bring your body." He's like, "Nah, I always run hot." He was like, "I'm sweating just sitting here." He's like, "I'm sweating right now." So I do, like me, I sweat a lot. I'm not sweating right now, but it is not hard for me to start sweating. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, like almost any any kind of movement will get me sweating. You know what I'm saying? Like when we're in jujitsu, like the warm up starts and I'm immediately dripping buckets.
You're driven.
I'm immediately dripping buckets. During the warm ups over, we're drilling. I'm sweating buckets all over my partner, literally. You good? Don't worry about it. I'm sweating buckets all over my partner.
But it starts like the moment we enter the gym. It doesn't even.
I don't know about that.
Yes, it does. We walk in and then I see you just dripping. You're like,
shut up. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe sometimes, but not like every time. Not like all the time. Not every time I just walk in the gym and just sweating.
I don't know. We get on the mats and you just start sweating.
Yes, I'm sweating like almost immediately. Yes. I guess sometimes like I am in the locker room changing and I do feel like I'm already sweating. Yeah. But also the gym is like warm. The gym is warm. Like, you know what I'm saying? So but he kind of said that he's, so I believe that, but it's 100% not crazy to think that maybe he greases, and it's something that I don't know how they would prove it. So there's no reason for him to own up to it if he does. Like, oh well, you know what I'm saying? Um, but I mean, obviously wearing long sleeves, wearing like tights and a long sleeve rash guard would stop that. It would kind of take it out of the equation. If he sweat a lot, I literally sweat through my rash guard and everything. Like yeah. So even if I have a rash guard and stuff, I'm still pretty. It's hard to like hold on to me, even with the rash guard on, because you're still slipping off. So, you know what I'm saying? But apparently, four people, including himself, so Gordon and three other people have accused him. Mason Fowler, Felipe Pena, and Yuri Samos have all accused Nicky Rod of greasing. He says competition will take place when I'm healthy, if I'm healthy, and on a date and platform I decide. Until then, keep dreaming you'll ever be anywhere near my level after beating guys who can't make it out of the first day at ADCC. If you don't respond here or publicly, I take this as a no. I will not respond after this unless I get a clear yes or no to this response. I am not negotiating. I am the king. You follow my rules or you shut up. And before you bet your newfound wealth, make sure you're not going to default on an IRS payment and end up in jail or homeless, because only one of us has a million to blow, and we all know who that is. This is mostly a message for Nicky Fraud, Nicky Fraud, because we all know Craig's the ultimate can crusher and wants absolutely nothing to do with any kind of physical confrontation with me. Well, at least Craig will be at the academy helping you prepare for the camp, just like he did for CJI and ADCC. Oh, wait. That's crazy. That's crazy. There's actually a lot going on right here. First off, he called out Nikki and Craig, but this is mostly a call out for Nikki, which he said at the end. He's just throwing Craig in there because he doesn't like Craig. So he's like, "Hey, Craig," basically saying like, "Nikki, I'll take you up on your bet," but also saying like, "We're gonna play by my rules and my rules only." Everybody know. Listen. Everybody knows, including Nicky Rod and Craig Jones. Every fucking body knows that a no time limit submission only match 100% favors Gordon. I don't think anyone questions that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, he's gonna pace himself. He's gonna draw it out. He's gonna pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's gonna take his time, tire them out, and tap them out when they're tired. And he's the best at that. He's the best at that. You know what I'm saying? Nicky Rod will talk his shit and be like, "Oh, Gordon's only good because of steroids." We know that's a fucking lie. Now, is he possibly better than is he probably better than he would be without steroids, without testosterone and whatever else he takes? Because clearly he's taking more than just testosterone, definitely taking more than a TRT dose, which is a replacement dose. He's geared up. Clearly he's geared up. He admits it. He talks about taking it. I don't know what he takes, but just what's up?
No.
Just based on his physique and how he looks in competition, and like when he's peaking, like he's on some shit. He's clearly on some shit. He is geared up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks crazy. He really does.
He does. He looks fucking juicy. He looks fucking juicy. And that's you know what I'm saying? He looks fucking juicy. All of those guys look fucking juicy, to be honest. All of the new wave guys look a little juicy. Mason's starting to look a little juicy. I wouldn't put it past anybody over there especially because Gordon's kind of like the front man. Like Gordon's, the leader over there.
Mm.
Aside, obviously John Danaher is the head coach, but Gordon is number one as far as who's achieved the most. You know what I'm saying? And so why wouldn't they? He's kind of setting the example for them as teammates. And so the moment anyone shows interest, of course he's probably going to be like, yeah, you should do it. And the truth is, for what they want, ADCC champs, all of that, you know what I'm saying? They want to win. They're Nogi guys. All of those fucking guys are on it. Penna's on it. Yuri's on it. Cyborg was on it. Fucking Andre Galval's on it. All of those guys are on fucking gear. That's why they're all fucking like jacked and they look like they've been blown up with water. They literally look like their muscles look puffy and full of water. They literally look juicy.
They do.
They do all of them. They do. They do. They literally look juicy. They look Starburst, juicy fruit.
Like their arms, their chest, their legs. It's just
they are. They do. They do. They do. They literally look juicy. They look like a puffy little Starburst. Like you could just bite into them, and they're just juice is gonna squirt out. That's what they look like. I don't want to bite into them. I'm just saying that's what they look like. They look puffy, and obviously they're big, strong guys. And that's apparent. Like it is an advantage. They're big, strong guys. I think Gordon is the only one that doesn't look gassed after like 3 minutes. You're watching these guys roll, and they look completely gassed. Several minutes into the match, they're just completely gassed, and they're just holding on for dear life. That's what it looks like. Like the match slows way down, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Deep into the match, they're going really slow, and obviously they have that isometric strength. They're strong, so they can hold on, and they're big and they're heavy. But deep into the match, they're moving less, they're moving slower, they're being more, they're opening up less, they're trying to hold on to positions for dear life. And it's obvious that they look tired. That's I see that a lot. Especially with guys the one that comes to mind the most for me right now is Felipe Pena. Felipe Pena he's so puffy. Like, you know what I'm saying? He always looks pumped. Like, especially in competition. Like, he's just like, you know what I'm saying? He looks inflated. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And they all look like that. Yuri doesn't look like that. That could just, and I don't know. I assume all of these guys are on something, especially the Brazilians, because I think this is jiu-jitsu or no jiu-jitsu. I think steroids are more prevalent in Brazil. There's a lot of bodybuilders.
I saw a video on my on what is it? On my recommended in YouTube, and it was why jiu-jitsu won't be an Olympic sport.
Steroids.
And it was one of the reasons. The guy was like, you really think they're gonna put it down? You really think they're gonna put the needle down?
Well, yeah, but those guys just won't do it. Obviously, those guys wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And they're past that age anyway. Well, I don't know. I guess in a sport like jiu-jitsu, because there's older guys that do wrestling. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people in the Olympics that are on it, though.
Really?
Yes. Yes. It's a problem.
Like they're doing it, not getting caught?
They're on it. They either cycle off, they use it to get like big and strong and in shape, and they cycle off. Or they take things that are less likely to be detected, um, or they already know when they're going to be tested. There's ways to do it. There is ways to do it. I mean, I couldn't tell you, but there's definitely ways to do it. There's ways to get away with it, and people do.
Yeah,
people do. People do. They do. So I mean, there's definitely steroids in the Olympics. But I mean, that makes sense. The fact that in jiu-jitsu it's talked about so openly by a lot of people, like it's pretty much known that guys in jiu-jitsu are on steroids. Whether or not the IBJJF allows it, or whether or not IBJJF wants to say they test, they kind of test randomly. I'm not sure how they test, to be honest, but I feel like it's probably random. It'd be real easy to like take something that the traces that won't show up in testing at a certain time. I'm not an expert. I actually don't really know that much about it, but I know there's ways to take stuff and then just have it not be in your system when you're tested, or take it during camp or leading up to a competition, and you cycle off before competition comes, or before you have to test. Um, so I mean, there's definitely steroids in the Olympics, and there's definitely, what I'm saying, and everybody knows that people in jiu-jitsu do steroids. I don't think it's not cheating if it's allowed. ADCC allows it.
Oh yeah.
So here's the thing: there are a lot of people who will say that steroids is cheating. Period. I'm not one of those people. That's not the case with me. If you take some kind of steroid, or you're on some kind of anabolic supplement, maybe you take testosterone, maybe you're just taking replacement doses. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you're taking more than a replacement dose. If it's allowed, it's not cheating. It's cheating if you're doing it in a sport within a federation that doesn't allow it. Well, obviously, then it's cheating because you're going against the rules.
Yeah.
You're going against the rules. But even within federations that don't allow it, we know that people do it. And we know that it's not like singular people. It's not just multiple people do it. So in a place like ADCC, if you know people are doing it, and you know it does give them an edge because they're able to train more, they're able to lift more, they're going to put on more muscle, it's going to give them more endurance, or just allow them to train more endurance, which, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, they recover faster so they can train more. If you know that gives them an edge, I mean, you know, it's not crazy to think, well, they're doing it and they're gonna have an edge, so that's gonna put me at a disadvantage. I mean, so for an athlete, it's not a crazy thought to be like, well, maybe I should do it in a federation where it's allowed and you know people are taking it. If you really feel like, wow, this gives them a big advantage over me, well, maybe I should do it. The thing is, are you at the peak of what you could be naturally? That's the thing. I think a lot of people take it, athletes, young people, whoever, they take it just to take it.
Yeah.
They're not at the peak physical condition or the peak physique or the peak muscle growth or strength, whatever it is. They're not at the they haven't achieved the highest level of athleticism and or strength or muscle mass that they could on their own without it. If you're an athlete and you train correctly and you feel like, okay, I've achieved all I can achieve naturally, and then you maybe in your mind is like, okay, this is all I could be naturally, but wow, I could be faster, I could be stronger, I could be bigger, I could go harder. As a competitive athlete who is driven by competition and possibly has the mindset of constantly wanting to be better, once you've reached your peak conditioning and physicality, of course you're going to question like, wow, should I push myself and see what I can really do? Once you've figured out what you could do on your own without supplements, hormonal supplements, basically,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Without exogenous testosterone, outside sources of testosterone, or whatever else, growth hormone, you know what I'm saying? Once you've pushed your body to the limits that you could naturally, well, now it's on your mind like, could I be better? Could I be bigger? Could I be stronger? Could I be faster?
Mm-hmm.
Could I? Like, really? Like, I'm peak.
Yeah, so fast, so strong.
I'm
You're
peak.
like,
you know what I'm saying?
and then
And then to have it in your mind, like these guys are doing it, and they possibly didn't even peak on their own, so they possibly not gonna get what I get out of it. You know what I'm saying? I've worked all these years to build myself to this condition, to this, you know what I'm saying, to what I am now, as strong as I can be, as fast as I can be, you know, to be the best version of myself. And it's like I'm working so hard now to make you get to a point where like you could get to a point where you're like, I'm working so hard just to maintain this now. The idea that, wow, I could be better. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how much better? What are the negatives? You know what I'm saying? How's this going to affect? You have to start taking things into consideration. How's this going to affect my mental health? How's this going to affect my longevity? How's this gonna affect? You know what I'm saying? Does the positive outweigh the negative, or is the sacrifice worth it? What am I sacrificing by taking these? In Gordon's case, health. In Gordon's case, some would say he's very much sacrificed health and possibly shortened his life. You know what I'm saying? Because he has crazy health problems. And maybe they didn't start because of the steroids, you know what I'm saying, or because of the gear that he's on. But for sure, the supplements that he takes, the gear that he takes, make it worse. Because all that stuff stresses the organs. Go ahead. I know, that's why I stopped. You know what I'm saying? If he's on. Wait. Open that door.
Okay.
It's okay, man.
Excuse me.
But I think, in Gordon Ryan's case, there's no question that the steroids have affected his ailment. Are they the reason for his ailment? Probably not. He says it's because of the antibiotics, which is believable.
Mm-hmm.
He has gut issues. Antibiotics mess with your gut and your gut health. They kill all the good bacteria in your gut. I have an older brother. He was in a boys' home. They used to give him, he used to take something for acne. I think it was, I don't even know. I was going to say Accutane. That, I don't know. That could be completely wrong. It could be something totally different. But when they were young, in the early 90s, early to mid 90s, there was this medicine that a lot of young people took for acne, and it worked. It worked very good. But they found out that it kills certain gut bacteria. And I think he became lactose intolerant because his stomach could not, it killed the bacteria in his stomach that processes lactose or something like that. That's what he told me. I don't know if that's true. These are his words, not mine. He was like, yeah, when I was a kid, they gave me this acne medicine. It worked. It cleared up all my acne, but it messed up my stomach. And then I couldn't drink milk anymore because I became like, he said, and he says, they told me that it killed the gut back. There's a certain germ, like a gut bacteria in your stomach, that helps break down the milk.
Mm-hmm.
And this medicine killed that. So, I mean, Craig Jones talks about how often they get staph. He talked about it. He was like, yeah, I used to get staph all the time. And he talked about how he thinks it's because like too much hard training. So it kind of like weakens the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
Like your body's always wrecked.
Yeah.
Because you're training hard all the time. And then you get this skin infection and your body's trying to fight the skin infection.
But it can't fight it.
Right, because you're in a weakened state. So he talked about that. And obviously that was probably, for sure, that was going on with Gordon. Gordon goes on antibiotics. He's on antibiotics for like a year straight. Of course it's going to fuck his stomach up. So that makes total sense. Now, everybody wants to say like, oh no, come on, bro, you're blaming the antibiotics just because of the steroids. It's likely not because of the steroids, but did the steroids make it worse? Probably. Most likely, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely, yes. Because all that stuff does stress the organs.
Yeah.
Stresses the heart, stresses the stomach, stresses the lungs.
It makes everything bigger. It makes everything.
So everything's working harder. Everything's working harder. Everything's like, you know what I'm saying? It stresses the whole body because you're pushing the body beyond its limits.
Mm-hmm.
You're going beyond the natural. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, those are things you have to take into account as an athlete. When an athlete gets to that point where he starts trying to think about whether or not he wants to do that, because maybe he's reached a point where he feels like, okay, this is, and not to say like maybe he's happy where he's at, but the idea, just having that competitive mindset, competitive drive, the idea of being better is always like, wow, I can be better. So it's there, like what I'm saying. You think about it, but yeah, I really hope. I hope they do it.
What?
I hope this match happens.
Oh, yeah.
I hope Gordon gets healthy, and that, forget about jiu-jitsu. Like, we wish Gordon health, happiness. I hope he gets his shit in order. Before ADCC, we talked about it. I may have mentioned it on another podcast. Talked about how he looks, his health. I don't know if I actually mentioned it, or maybe I said something to you about it. But his health, I think his health is worse than ever now. I think his health problems. I don't know. Maybe
Actually, I don't know.
I don't know.
You mentioned something about it though.
Right. I think his health problems are the worst they've ever been right now. I think they're really catching up with him. I think they're taking a toll on his body. He's 29 now, 29 or 30, I think.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. He's going on 30. He's getting older. So I kind of had the idea that they were starting to hint towards him retiring. John Danaher was hinting towards it. He kind of hinted toward he's hinted toward taking some time off before ADCC. And it makes sense. It makes sense to take time off, maybe get off the gear for a little while. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what's going to put him in the best position to get healthy again.
Yeah.
It makes total sense to kind of dial back the training, stop competing for a while, take some time off. Like, honestly, like if it was me, I'd be like, look, okay, we have got to take some time off, and however long it takes, I got to get back to 100%. It would be worth taking a year or two off. That's a long time for a competitor. He's 29 now. I don't know when his birthday. I actually don't know when his birthday is. Let's just say he's 29. 2 years, he's going to be 31, 32, maybe 31 going on 32, something like that. You know what I'm saying? But if he takes time off, gets off the gear, gets completely healthy, comes back 100%, we could see a version of Gordon Ryan that we've never seen.
Yeah.
He gets completely healthy. For years now, he's talked about like, I'm like at 50, 60, 70%. You know what I'm saying? He talks about it all the time. Like, he's been dealing with his gut health issues for years now. It's been ongoing for years. You know what I'm saying? And I really do think the steroids just made it worse. It's likely that he is overtrained, so his body's struggling to recover and heal. Not overtrained. If he was completely healthy, no, he's not overtrained. I think he's overtrained for the physical condition that he's in now.
Yeah.
I think it's likely that he's overtraining. So it makes complete sense for him to take time off, get his health in order, and possibly come back as the best version of himself ever. Roids or no roids, I don't care. I really don't care. Do the roids, bro. I don't care. If you want to do them, do them. If you're healthy and you want to do them, do them. I don't care, bro. I just want to see good jiu-jitsu. Like, he's clearly the best. He's clearly the best. You know what I'm saying? Friends of mine and people that I train with, coaches, have made the argument that, like, oh man, he didn't do it for as long as Galvao did it. That's a valid argument. Like, you know what I'm saying? He needs to win that super fight championship, year after year after year. Like, he needs to come back another 5 times and defend that super fight where he's really considered the GOAT. He needs to, go through clear out a few more divisions and this and that. Maybe. But I mean, he's clearly dominant. He's the best right now. He's the best of his generation. He's the absolute best of his generation. This is the Gordon era within jiu-jitsu. You know what I'm saying? Is the Gordon era coming to an end? Are we entering the Nicky Rod era? You know what I'm saying? How long will that last? Will it be as long as Gordon's? Who knows? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a great idea for him to take some time off, get his health in order, and make a big comeback. So as much as I want that match to happen, what I'm saying, I think it's important for him to do what he needs to do to get healthy. So, it'd be great though. It would clearly be it would be an amazing match. It's the match everybody wants to see, regardless of how many times he's fought Nicky Rod up until now, regardless of how many times he's beat him, regardless of if he's tapped him every time, which he didn't tap him every time, but regardless, even if he did, everybody knows that the best people in grappling right now, Nicky Rod and Gordon Ryan. And, and then you got guys like, even though he's not competing much right now anymore, and I don't know if he's going to keep competing, but Craig Jones is up in there in that conversation. Victor Hugo's in that conversation. Philippe Pena, even though I don't find him very exciting, and I don't think he's in that conversation. He wins at that level. He has the ability to win at the highest level. He's beat Gordon a couple times. I think he's the last guy to submit him. He's beat Nicky Rod before. Oh, yeah. I don't know if he's ever beat Craig Jones or even ever fought Craig Jones, but he wins. When you win at the highest level, like, you can't deny that you're elite. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's not one of my favorite grapplers. I don't he's not. So I really hope that fight happens. It'd be awesome if it did. I mean, honestly, I can't think of any other fight that I would rather see. I don't want to see another Philippe Pena fight. I don't want to see another Philippe Pena fight. I wasn't ADCC. You know what I'm saying? The Yuri Simões fight wasn't that. Obviously, Gordon wasn't in the best. Like I said, his health was an issue. Like, he talked about it. He talked about it. John Danaher talked about it. After the fact. They were like, look, I wasn't healthy. I wish I could have gone out there and submitted everybody. When Danaher posted something like, look, this man was like dry heaving and throwing up, couldn't train 2 days straight, and like would have to stop in the middle of rounds, and you know what I'm saying? Until like 10 days before ADCC was whenever he was able to start training consistently. So he's clearly dealing with huge health issues. I really hope he gets himself healthy. Honestly, like straight up, like just as a person, I hope he takes the time to get himself healthy. It's important. Health is more important than anything. Health is more important than anything. But obviously, athletes often sacrifice their health to achieve greatness. And somebody like, just look at Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
Greatest ever bodybuilder. I don't think anybody. He is the king. 7-time Mr. Olympia, but can't walk unassisted anymore. You know what I'm saying? Is a shell of himself. Is a shell of his former self. But that was the sacrifice that he chose to make to achieve the greatness he achieved. And he's still alive, and you know what I'm saying? He's obviously, hopefully he's still enjoying his life. But I would assume he is. He lives a good life, so But yeah. I'm Nick Vasquez.
And I'm Nick Jr.,
also known as El Kiki. This has been the Finish Ultimate Combat Sports podcast. See y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.